Hallo, herzlich willkommen zu Rumday, der Sendung mit dem Rum. Heute mit einem Special Guest, Mitch Willson from Black Tot. That's our special guest today. Welcome, Mitch.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, pleasure.
Good to be in Berlin. So thank you.
Perfect.
Good to be here at Rumday as well. Amazing.
Yeah, it's a lovely place.
Yeah, hallowed ground.
Ja. Und der liebe Herr Marzoll, der Stefan, ist auch mit dabei.
Ich bin auch dabei. Tag, ihr Leid.
Okay, so today we want to talk about a Black Tot rum,
Yes.
I guess.
Yeah, I think so. I'm sure we'll go on a few tangents along the way,
yes.
but a little black tot in there.
So, you're the global brand ambassador?
Yes, that's
so it
right.
means you're traveling around the world.
Yeah, we're in about 35 countries now, and I'm traveling probably 300 days a year at the moment.
Okay, so, which is tough.
It's a little bit of time in there, going through quite a few suitcases.
Yeah.
You know, so.
Yeah, but you are young, so you can do that.
That's it. Well, yeah, don't know. Got a couple more years left in me. So.
Okay. Hello, Alex. So on the right there is the chat.
Ah, yes. Hi, Alex. Welcome.
So you will see we get some questions.
Amazing. Yeah.
So Black Tot. It was starting with one of the famous rums, in my opinion. And the Black Tot, the last consignment, is still my number 1 or 2 in all the rums. And I think I had some rums in my life.
Yes, yeah, I can imagine.
But I fucking love this.
Yeah, it's. I mean, for me, it was real when I first had the chat with Sekinder, and I was talking about this position and whether to start. But I think my only question was, can we drink last consignment? And he said, sure. And I was like, sign me up, let's go. So, very easy career choice, that one.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
And I've been lucky to drink a lot of it over the last few years. We're now getting down to our last few bottles, so it's getting harder and harder to get tasting bottles out. But as long as it's still there,
you can see on the price, so he's rising.
Yeah.
I guess that is a sign for it's lower and lower.
Yeah. What? For me, it's a really interesting rum because obviously we've had some of those historical bottlings over the years that have become legendary, and people are paying thousands and thousands for your Ray Nephew 17s and your Skeldons and these incredible rums from moments in time. And for me, I think Last Consignment is one of those rums, and I'm sure. Not that I'm the kind of person to say buy bottles and keep them, because I intend to drink everything I ever buy. But I'm sure it's going to be one of those bottles that just skyrockets the moment we run out, and we're getting close. So I'm now like buying as many as I can because I want to be able to drink it for the rest of my life. So
it's a good plan.
Now's the time. But I mean, when you look at the price of this, and it's an expensive bottle. It's about, most places about €1,000 on the shelf. Yeah. But hardly any of these rums, even the ones that are so expensive now, they're very old rums or they're from a moment in time. But I really think this has so much history to it that, I think as more and more people find out about it, it will be one of those in that class.
Yeah. Hello, Dennis. So Dennis.
Hi, Dennis.
Hi, Dennis.
From Mauritius.
Yeah, he is on Mauritius.
Nice. Okay, cool.
And before he was in Réunion, so he's doing a nice trip.
That sounds great. Yeah.
It's interesting because when I bought my first bottle of the Black Tot, at this time I bought it directly from the Kinder, so from UK.
Yes.
And if I remember right, it was in the shop for around about €500, something like that.
Yeah.
And in this time I was wondering, it's not running out after a year maybe.
Yeah.
So it took a lot of time.
Yeah.
To respect the people, that's really phenomenal liquid.
I think.
Which is good. That's the reason we have still bottles.
I think one of the interesting things with it is obviously when Black Tot Day happened and the Navy finally ended the rum ration, there was still quite a lot of rum left over. You know, you've got to remember the Navy at their peak were drinking millions of litres of rum per year, so they made a lot of it. And the vote for Black Tot Day happened on the 28th of July. 3 days later was Black Tot Day. So there was no long wind down period. There was no like, okay, we've got a couple of years of rum left, let's drink it all first. It was just vote, done, finished. Yeah. And why we're so lucky with Black Tot is because the rather than put the remaining rum into barrels, they put it into the stone flagons, which I think you've got one here. So these little babies, these are what makes up the Black Tot last consignment. And you know, these flagons, they're 4.5 litre or 1 imperial gallon jars. And when you take the wicker off, they're all glazed and, you know, they're airtight. So they're wax sealed, they're not breathing, they're not changing. So when you do get one and it is intact and you open it up, it's like a time capsule of the rum, you know. And if that had been in a barrel for 40 years, it would have been over-oaked, it would have been evaporated off, it wouldn't have been as good. But what we're getting, every time we open one, we're getting a snapshot of the blend at that exact time and place. And because of that as well, we have more of it, because Sekinder was able to buy all of these flagons and bring them all together. And it's not like some of these releases where, okay, we had 5 casks and there's that much left in the cask and we've brought it together. So it's incredibly historical, but for, you know, it's that's part of why it's so unique. There was still a lot of it left.
Okay.
So.
Nice. Okay, so yeah, hello Stefan, hello Benjamin. So, how we start?
I think we should drink something, right?
Yeah. Correct answer.
So, okay, well let's begin at the top, I guess. So we've got our after 10 years of having Last Consignment, and as you know, we had Last Consignment, which we released on Black Tot Day in 2010. So on the 40th anniversary of Black Tot Day. We had a little bottling which we did in between called the Black Tot 40-year-old, which was a 1975 Port Morant distilled whilst it was still at the Eiflet distillery back in 1975. And for 10 years we only had those 2 bottlings, which is the complete opposite way to how anyone should ever build a brand normally. Normally you'd start with something cheaper and you'd work your way up. We're like, no, we'll start with the most expensive rum imaginable and then we'll work our way backwards, you know. So, you know, we had our $1,000 bottle of rum, our $1,500 bottle of rum, and then we created Black Tot Finest Caribbean, which was, end of 2019 when this came out. And this was our first attempt to go, okay, let's actually create a blend and make something that's going to last longer, because the 40-year-old is all gone. We have nothing left.
Yeah.
If you see a bottle, buy it.
We sold our last bottle last week or 2 weeks ago.
So we have no more stock, and in most countries, every now and then I see one on a shelf somewhere, but it's really, we only did 600 bottles of that one. Last consignment, we're on our last couple of years. So the question became, do we let the brand die out with those bottlings, or do we carry it on in some way? So the first thing we made was Black Tot Finest Caribbean, and actually we've just literally seconds ago received the first bottle in Berlin of the new recipe. So this we released in 2019. This we've just released 3 weeks ago. Okay. And the label has changed, as you can see, but also the liquid has changed. Okay. And we've changed the blend. So I thought maybe to start with, let's do a side-by-side of the two.
That's a good idea.
So you can see how we've adjusted it. Because one of the things I always hated was when brands change the label and then they pretend they haven't changed the liquid.
Yeah, and
right?
I hate.
Isn't this I just think it's so ridiculous. Like they just say, "Oh no, you're the crazy one. You're imagining it." Like no, I'm trying them side by side. They're different. So as soon as we started talking about changing the blend, I said to Ollie and Sakenda, I was like, we have to tell people, like everything we've done with Black Tart is very much about transparency, and I'm like, we need to make a big show of the fact that it's not just a label change, it's a liquid change as well. Yes. And, you know, because if you're not cutting corners, if you're doing it for the right reasons, what have you got to hide, right? Like, why not talk about it? So, okay, so try and not get too confused with these as well. So what have we changed? And I think for anyone, if anyone's watching us and anyone knows the original blend, you know we had Barbados, Guyana and Jamaica in the blends, coming from Foursquare, DDL and Worthy Park. We still have those rums in there, we've just added Trinidad. So it's the same components as before, just with the new one. Look at that! Oh, it looks beautiful. This is when I heard I was going to be on a YouTube channel tonight, I had no idea I'd be coming to this film studio. So professional, I love it. It's amazing. So we've added Trinidad into the blend, and we actually have as well the. That's Jamaica. Hold on. We've got my beautiful assistant. Hold on. We have the Trinidad component there. That's it that we've added in. And so this is, if anyone's ever done a masterclass with me, we'll often bring the individual blending components that we use.
Yeah, that's always a good idea.
I think, you know, so many people who are new to rum don't know what each island and which country, what flavours they bring. So I always thought it was important that we make it very transparent. And so this is the Trinidad component we've added, which is a 2 to 4 years old. Okay. Tropically aged from Trinidad distillers, obviously. And you know, for those people who know TDL, they make a light mark, they make a heavy mark. This is more of that heavy mark. It's more fruity. It's more richer, heavier, and we want that flavour. We want those fruit-driven flavours coming in. So in terms of what we've changed to the blend, and you can see it probably easier here, but you can see the old one's a little darker, the new one's a little brighter and lighter, because we've dropped the Guyana down. So the Guyana was 60% of the blend originally, that's now 20%. The Jamaica is 5% before and after. The Barbados we've upped slightly, it was 35% of a 5-year Foursquare, we now put 40% in there. Okay. And we've added 35% of the Trinidad in there. Okay. So a lot brighter, a lot fruitier. Have a try, see what you think.
Okay. Cheers.
Cheers. Pleasure. Cheers, everyone at home.
Cheers. So there's a question if there are any plans for bringing out a cask strength release under the label of Black Tart.
Well, we have the Master Blenders Reserves, which come in at 54.5% every year, and obviously those we aim to be the Navy issuing strength. They're pretty close, as a blend goes, it's pretty close to cask strength, because a lot of the rums that we blend with are very old, and quite often they're not 54.5, they might have dropped to 50, 51, 52, and so by the time we blend, most of the time it's hitting 55, 56, 57, so that's pretty close to cask strength. We did release a Black Tart at cask strength, which was the 40-year-old, but the trouble with the 40-year-old was that cask strength was 44.2%. After 40 years, loses a lot of ABV. Obviously the last consignment as well was never watered down. It went into the flagons. As you know, the Navy tried to get it as accurate as possible. They were always aiming for 54.5. Sometimes it was a bit up, sometimes a bit down, and after 40 years it came out at 54.3. So we, in terms of if you mean like a single cask or something like that at cask strength, not really, because Black Tart's always been about blending. It's the whole Navy style. And the only time we've really sort of got close to that was maybe the 40-year-old, because there was 5 casks of it and it was something very special and unique. But yeah, you know, I wouldn't mind seeing some more overproof or more 54.5s or cask strength for sure. But yeah, at the moment we've tried to have something at every level.
Okay, you can smell the difference.
Straight away, right?
Yeah, it's very easy.
Total für Milchschokolade. More fruity.
More fruity, more complexity. Feels like more power.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, interesting. Yeah, it's so interesting to see how the weight of the rums you blend with affects the perception of the ABV, right, and the strength, because they're both the same. But yeah, it's interesting. Always trying them side by side.
It's a bottle we made it. We cracked it for 1 minute ago, so it's different.
Yes, true as well.
Fresh bottle or bottles open since weeks or months.
Yeah, but you feel the difference.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think for us, it's an interesting thing. When we look at the original bottling, so in Elixir Distillers, our company, we make 3 different whiskey brands, and then we have Black Tot as our rum brand. But our blender for Black Tot and the whiskies is the same person, Oliver Chilton.
Yeah.
And this was the first ever rum that he ever blended.
Yes.
And when I first joined the company, my first question to him was, what were you trying to make? You know, was it a Mai Tai rum? Were you trying to make this? Were you trying to make this? And he said, I didn't know, I don't know the rum distilleries, I don't know the places. I just purely went on flavour, and I went, this tastes good. Now 5 years on, he's done the Master Blenders series. He's had 5 years of making these different rums, and he's learnt and really dived into the rum world and explored it so much more. And so for me, the new bottling is much more of a rum drinker's rum,
Yes. Yeah.
Before, I think it was more of a whiskey drinker's rum coming into the category. This is now, for me, a rummier rum. But yeah.
Hallo Adam.
Now he's getting into the good liquids.
Right, he's seen the light. If he's watching, he's going to be shaking his fist there.
Everybody is doing mistakes.
It's okay. We welcome them all equally.
And this is the good thing in the rum world.
Yeah, it's very inclusive. But yeah, for me, this new blend now it's so much brighter. It's so much more. For me, this is a much more versatile rum. I think you can use it in a wider range of drinks. Like before, the old blend was very good at these heavier style booze forward drinks. Your rum old fashions, your rum Manhattans. This still does that, but now you can also put it in a daiquiri, and you can also put it in brighter, more tropical drinks, and for me this opens up a lot more of the rum world. And
why not mojito or things like that? Pina colada.
Amazing, little old Cuban, perfect with that.
Always welcome.
Getting thirsty now. Yeah, we're making some drinks next door after this, and getting inspiration now. It's good. So hopefully. Before and after, but hopefully it's just a useful tool. Because I don't know about you guys, but when I'm making a drink, I'm grabbing 3, 4, 5 different rums. I'm grabbing a bit of Jamaica. I'm grabbing a bit of Agricole. And I'm always finding just one rum doesn't do it. But the nice thing with Black Tot is there's a load of drinks where I'm like, okay, if I just grab that, I know it will do a good job. I know it will hit a lot of those flavors that we need. So it's a useful tool on the back bar.
Good, yeah. Super fruity. Milk chocolate. But and I'm feeling that you can enjoy more the Jamaican part. Yeah,
I think the Jamaica and the fruit in general pops so much more, right? Because the Guyana's a heavy component to play with. Guyana can really. I think we often talk about Jamaica overpowering things in the blend, but Guyana just as easily can really take over and really be so dominant.
Some drops and
those heavier caramel chocolate notes. And by dropping that down, it really lets the fruit shine a lot more.
So the first finest Caribbean is more on the dark side.
This
On the dark side.
Yeah,
this is more the light side of the
Yeah.
Force. This is the Jedi. You know?
even the first edition is a little bit more on the Spanish style feeling.
On the original one.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Interesting.
So so there's a little bit more sweetness,
Okay. Right.
and it's a little bit smoother.
Yes.
It's not playing all the characters.
Mm.
So that's what I mean.
Yeah.
A little
No.
bit more the Spanish style.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, absolutely.
And here it's changed totally.
Yeah, I think
Not
you can-
totally, but easily to find out the difference.
I think it's really cool, and maybe I can give you a little splash of the Trinidad as well, so you can see how this component comes into it as well. Because it's a
Thank you.
good Trinidad rum is delicious.
Yeah.
What's that?
So Adam is sending greetings from Hamburg.
Yes, hi
Yes,
Adam. Yeah, sorry, I still can't speak German. I blame my lack of German on my teacher at school, who was called Frau Wanderli, and she was not a great. Well, she was a great. I'm sure she was a great teacher, but she wasn't a fun teacher, and
Okay.
You know,
And we all know this.
we had to take French and German. And French, we had the loveliest, beautiful Mademoiselle. She was wonderful, and we all learnt French. And then Frau Wanderli was like, no. So yeah, I never learnt German quite as well, unfortunately. My apologies.
2 to 5.
2 to 4.
2 to 4.
2 to 4 years old. Yeah.
They're pretty good.
Yeah, you can see. I mean,
Yeah, it's very good one.
I love Trinidad rum for those peach and apricot and stone fruit flavors that you get. Especially the older it gets, the more you get of them, right? And I think here you see that younger, vibrant edge of before, before it really starts to because I think it develops with age. But you see the makings of it there.
So
Good German teacher sitting on my left. This is my German teacher, or this is my German teacher? This one?
what is the dark sample bottle?
Yeah, so this is...
Is it in a blend?
Yeah, so these, and we can probably show you all of them here.
So the good part is Mitch has all the positions of the blend with him.
So if we get these, so these are, and again, if any of you join some of, we've done a few more in-depth masterclasses where we bring all these components. So these were the 4 components that we used to blend together for Blacktop Finest Caribbean, and now we've added Trinidad. So it still has all these rums, we've just squeezed one more in there, and we had a 3-year Worthy Park, we had a 5-year Foursquare, and we had these 2 rums from DDL, from Guyana. Now, if you were to guess which one was the older one, most people would, usually think that one is the older one, right? This one is unaged, unaged component, and when they sent it to us, we actually thought they'd sent us the wrong rum.
Yeah.
And we called them up, and they said, no, that's the right rum, and we said, why? And they said, because we had this, we had this caramel molasses stuff we add to it. And we said, can we get it without that? Because, we're black top, we don't want to add sugar, we don't want to add any colouring, we don't want to, no additives. And we said, can we get it without that colour? And they said,
No.
no. And we said, okay. But this was the really interesting part, and this is why I love bringing this to tastings as well. Eventually they said, well, no, you can get a rum from, this comes from the Savao still, their 4-column metal still there. They said you can get other rum from the Savao still without the colour, but it won't taste the same. They said the colour changes, the molasses that we add to it changes the flavour of the rum. And that's interesting to me because the modern spirits world always talks about, no, if we add any colour, we add E150A, B, C or D, you know, and it doesn't change the flavour of the liquid. And if you've ever tried E150, it's like, it's awful. It tastes like a chemical. It tastes horrible. Yeah. But when you see the stuff they add, E150 is a liquid like this, and you try it and it tastes like chemical. Their stuff doesn't move. You turn the bottle upside down and it just sticks to the top. Yeah. And it's like a thicker molasses, you know, and you try it and it tastes nice. It tastes kind of that bittersweet, licoricey molasses taste. And the flavour changes when they add it. And that to me is a really interesting idea, because when you try this component by itself, it is like bitter caramel, licorice, molasses kind of notes to it. It doesn't taste like an unaged rum. And all those qualities you'd think to try from an unaged Saval, this is not like those, you know. And I think we forget we've got a little drop of something in there. Let's say. You can tell what kind of tasting this is going to be. And it's such an interesting component to play with. And, you know, I think when we talk about adding rums like this, so this made up 20% of the original blend, which is part of why I think the old one looks darker as well. Mm-hmm. We've dropped this now to 10%.
Mm-hmm. Okay, makes a difference, yeah.
And this for me makes more sense, you know, because I always saw this as like if you were making an old fashioned, and you've got your sugar and you've got your rum, obviously. Why would you make it with whiskey? You've got your rum, your sugar, and then you add your 2 dashes of bitters. Mm-hmm. If you forget the bitters, the drink doesn't work. You don't have that depth and that complexity. And this is like the bitters in our blend. You need a little bit of it because it ties together the other flavours in the rum.
It's more deepness.
Yeah, it's just really gives you that depth. Yeah, you can mix it with cola. Yeah, you can mix. I mean, again, it's your rum. You can do whatever you like. But we had just recently, there was a quite well known 5-star hotel bar in Amsterdam that has Last Consignment on the bar. And all the other black tots, and they had their bar manager came up to me and said, "We really need a rum training." I was like, "Okay, yeah, we can do it." He's like, "No, we really need one." And it turned out they had this new bartender, and someone on the bar was ordering black tot, and the bartender didn't know the difference between the Finest Caribbean and the Last Consignment, and so he was pouring, you know, shots of Last Consignment at the price of Finest Caribbean, so like €10 a shot probably.
Okay.
And they finished the bottle. And I said, "Oh man, I wish I was there that night, right?" And they're like, "Yeah, we finished the bottle, we need another Last Consignment, so that's good, you know." And he was so embarrassed about it. And my friend said, "Well, it doesn't matter, at least they weren't ordering rum and cokes." And he just went, "They were ordering rum and coke." It wasn't even someone who knew what they were getting. They were just having Last Consignment and coke all night. So
one of the best rum and coke ever.
I bet he's there. He's like, "This bar's amazing. You should try it. The best rum and cokes in the world. It's only €10. Fantastic."
I had those moments when I opened the shop 15 years ago, and so people came in and were asking for rum, so they bought some rum. 70, 80, 90 euros a bottle, and then they told me, "So yeah, we drink everything with Coke." I was so, what? So it was still the moment I want to say, "Give me the bottle back."
Yeah, not that one.
But at the end, hey, they paid for.
Ja,
Adam, du warst der Gast.
Nee, da kannten wir Adam noch nicht. Aber
nee, ich meine hier wegen dem Last Consignment.
And I was in a bar in Berlin, and there was a bartender, a colleague was coming in, and there was a bottle of black tot, and he asking for a daiquiri with a black tot. So I was just a guest, so I didn't say anything.
With the Last Consignment?
With the Last Consignment. And the bartender was saying, "So, no, I think it's not a good idea." So, please, can you or not? Yeah, of course. It's not a good idea. Do it. He was sipping the first sip, and it was so.
Yeah, it's such a heavy rum. It's.
And then he started a discussion with the bartender. So, why give you this shit? He said, sorry, I said it before.
yeah.
But he was with some friends, not really any clue about rum, so he was playing a big guy.
Yeah.
And he lose.
Trust your bartenders, people. Trust your
Yeah,
bartenders.
definitely. but this is good. So now I make sense what I said before. This is a Spanish style, and so it's coming definitely from this part.
Yeah.
And 10% less, okay, it makes sense. Plus the Trinidad, that changed.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so someone asked, Martin asked how much molasses colouring they add. It's tiny, right? It's only a little bit that you add to get that colour and get that texture from it. So yeah, it's very small. And what's interesting is we do a chemical analysis on all of our rums and all of our liquids before we bottle, and we did it on all the components as well. And when you test this, because the chemical testing today is for E150A, that's what they test for caramel colouring. So they test that and it comes back negative for caramel colouring because it doesn't show this chemical in it. And also zero sugar, like it's not adding a sweetness, it's not adding it adds a texture, it adds something, but it's not a sugar per se. So it's
It's just aroma.
So yeah, it's a fun little blending component to do, and I think someone asked about getting 5 CLs of each. I think do you still have any of the old tasting packs we did over COVID? Is that a thing? No. I don't know if we did some online tastings and we made little tasting packs where you can actually buy them, but otherwise you'll just have to come to a masterclass with me sometime.
Yeah. Very nice. Yeah. I'm really looking forward for saying people to the new one.
Yeah.
So
we had as I say we just launched this 2-3 weeks ago, and a few people have asked, will this replace the old one? And yes, it will. We won't have both. This will be the new one. So once this one sells out, you'll just only be able to buy this one. Some people have said, does that mean I should buy all the bottles of the old one? Yes, absolutely. Please do. The sooner we sell this out, the sooner the new one comes. So by all means, stock up. This is the last of the first edition of it.
So it's a new last consignment.
Yeah. Now it's time. Hoard your bottles. If you like the old recipes. So.
Yeah. Okay.
Don't worry, Dennis. We haven't done the toast yet. That'll come at the end.
Okay. Cool.
Shall we drink some Solera?
Yes.
Yeah. This,
the next, I think it's an. Do you have? Yeah, you brought to the Rum Festival last year, right? Or was it the BCB?
It hadn't come out yet. Maybe BCB. I might have had a little sample with me.
You have some small.
I gave you a little mini. Yeah. We launched this in October last year.
Okay.
So it's a relatively new addition to the Black Top lineup.
Yeah.
And. This is great.
Stefan, das ganze Rack ist voll mit Gläser.
Ein
Hallo Peitschenwolf. Du hast den Beginn der Sendung verpasst. Wir haben heute den Mitch Willson zu Gast, der Global Brand Ambassador für Black Tot. Wir haben jetzt gerade die neue Black Tot Edition vorgestellt, die eine kleine Veränderung hat. Ein bisschen Trinidad ist jetzt dazugekommen. Und jetzt probieren wir den Historic Solera. Und bist noch ganz gut mit dabei.
So, a new one.
Wieder einfach den Start anschauen.
So, Black Tot Historic Solera. So this one started about 5 years ago, was when the idea first began. So Ollie said, I'm going to take Black Top Finest Caribbean, the original recipe, the old recipe, and I'm going to put it into sherry casks.
Mm-hmm.
And I I said to him, kind of joking, kind of not, like, well, if we're going to do sherry casks, why not do a Solera system? And Ollie said, no, it'll be too much work. It's getting proper Solera casks is really hard. They're really hard to find.
Takes time.
Expensive.
It's going to be expensive. The warehouse will hate us. We didn't, and at this time we didn't have our own warehouse space. We were using third-party warehouses because we were, we're an independent company. We're a small company still. And then about 3-4 years ago, he was in Jerez in Spain buying sherry casks for the whiskey and for the rum. And he came across 2 bodegas that were willing to sell him some of their Solera casks. And they were 70-year-old casks, 800-litre casks. And he managed to buy 46 of these casks altogether. Brought them over to Scotland, where we now have our warehouses at the Tormore Distillery in Speyside, because we bought the Tormore Distillery about 3 years ago. And we've now set up...
Small company.
Yeah. Small company, but yes, we're getting bigger. We're working on it. And we bought the Tormore Distillery after Sekinder sold the Whiskey Exchange, because once he sold that, then it was, had a bit of money to spend. Let's buy a distillery. Why not? Okay. So we now have a 3-tier Solera system set up in Tormore at Speyside. Okay. Now, I thought it was interesting as well, and this was just a little detail, but quite often, because we make a lot of whiskey, when we get really cool casks, they'll often go to the whiskey side of things, because it makes sense. But Solera casks are 800 litres, and the maximum size you can use for Scotch whiskey is 700 litres. So it's illegal to use actual Solera casks for whiskey, but we can use them for rum. So we've had this set up now for the last 3 years. And the process is, we actually took, it was all the original recipes, so heavier on the Guyana, no Trinidad in it at this stage. We put that finest Caribbean in at 60% ABV into Pedro Jimenez and Oloroso sherry casks. We left it there for about 2 years. That's when we bought the Solera. And then from there, we filled up the Solera, all the casks, with these casks of rum. Okay. And we did a ratio of about 60% Oloroso casks to 40% PX. So Oloroso, very bone dry, a bit more nutty, a bit more mushroomy. The PX is Pedro Jimenez, very sweet, very syrupy, figs, plums, chocolate. Yeah. So 60-40, put those into the Solera. And then we waited. And we waited a year. And we actually told everyone the first year we were doing it, we're releasing a Solera rum this year. And we pulled out, half from the Solera layer, blended it together. Sekinder tried it and said, it's not ready. And we went, so we told everyone, next year it's coming. So we moved everything down, half through each of the layers of the Solera, brought it all down, waited another year, tried it again, still not ready. Next year, we did it again, Finally he goes, okay, it's ready, bottle it. And within 2 months, bang, we suddenly quickly. Everyone's like, make the labels, let's get ready, So it was a real long process to get there, and it's one of the things I love with Elixir Distillers and everything we do with Black Tart is, if it's not perfect, we just won't release it. If it's not ready, no. Which is rare, and that is something that you only see in smaller companies and independents, because if you're a big company, it's like, no, let's get it out. Even if it's, let's just make it okay and get it out. And with us, we can afford to be a bit more like, no, it has to be perfect. So
yeah, that's cool.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers. I like this. But when it came out, so what was the first question from our clients? Black Tart. Why Solera? So, and then you're starting telling the story. What is Solera? Why is the Solera system the Black Tart? Because there are reasons and history.
Yes, yeah.
So a little bit difficult, because some people seeing there's something not correct if you're using Solera systems.
Well, it's become
So
Solera's become a dirty word in the rum world for most people.
for reasons, definitely.
I remember I was sat at the table. We had like our little like our war table, you know, like at Elixir offices, and I've got Sekinder here and Ollie here, and we're all talking about what should we call this new rum, and we're talking about it, and we weren't going to put Solera on the label, and then we were talking about, well, what are the casks called? And when they become very old in these Solera systems, they call them historic Solera casks. When they reach, 60, 70 years old, when they hit this age, they're called historic Solera casks. And we were talking, and it's like, imagine how much it will wind up all of the rum nerds if we put Solera on the label. How many questions they're going to have, how much they're going to test
Uncountable.
it. They're gonna get really upset, and then we're going to be able to show them, look, we've got a real Solera system, and then we're going to tell them exactly how it works and that it's an authentic Solera. It's like, won't that really wind people up? And we said, yeah, let's put it on the label. So, we've got two sides of the market, right? You've got the Zacapa drinkers, you've got the Santa Teresa drinkers, you've got the people who love Solera, and they love that style, and then you've got the rum nerds who mostly avoid it all because it's usually got sugar added, and it's usually not a real Solera, and sometimes we have funny numbers on the bottle which don't mean anything, it's an interesting one, because I think for anyone who really knows their rum, when you see what we've set up, it's really exciting. Like, because no one's ever put Barbados, Guyana and Jamaica through a Solera system before. Yeah. It's very rarely at something like 46.2% with no added sugar and no added things. It's really unique in the rum world. And it normally never has this much sherry taste to it. It's so unique for it to be this sherry forward. And then you've got, the mass market, the Zacapa, the Santa Teresas, and the people who maybe would prefer it to be sweeter or lighter or whatever, but this will hopefully be a nice step up for them. And let's face it, if we get 1% of Zacapa drinkers across to us, then we're rich. We've done it. That's right. Yeah, we'll be flying to the Caribbean. Let's go. So it's. I hope it's a rum for everyone, and I hope it's a good example of what Solera can be if it's done well.
The fun fact at the end, when we get the first bottles, so again, people ask why, but we have a lot of bottles open, so people come in and, hey, I'm looking for rum, maybe it's a gift, maybe it's for yourself, whatever. And we give them just for trying the rum, and the people was not nerdy, not in the scene, likes this.
Yeah. I think it's. I think for us it's a game changer, in the lineup.
And maybe we have some, so we don't have Zacapa, but we have Botran. So maybe we give them a Botran and this one and some straight from a barrel cask. Interesting to see. Many people like this flavor, this profile. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it's an exciting addition to the lineup, I think, and a lot of the time when you do see sherry cask or sherry cask finishes, it might be 3 months, 6 months, but very rarely do you get 2 years in Pedro Jimenez and Oloroso, then another 3 years through the Solera. And one of the things which for me interested, and I'm guessing people watching, if because I'm guessing this is mainly the rum nerds hanging out on a Monday night with us right now. When you're using 800 litre 70-year-old casks, the wood isn't giving you the flavour anymore. The wood is old, the wood is tired, and that's, in sherry, that's what they want. They want these very old casks. That's why they're so sought after, that's why they're so coveted, because the wood is relatively neutral. You're getting the oxygenation, and by moving through the Solera, yes, you're doing the fractional blending, you're mixing older sherries with younger sherries, or older rums with younger rums. But the wood isn't the flavour, the oxygen's the flavour. And in wine, that kind of makes more sense, I think. Okay, I can see how the oxygen would change the wine. But I was really interested to look into how does oxygen change it in spirits. And obviously we know it plays a part. We know when we talk about cask aging and the oxygen exchange and what that does. But when you put it through a Solera, you're heightening that process. You're accelerating it. And there's a few little parts of this which I think are interesting, which is, one, when you take something like Pedro Jimenez, it's very sweet, it's very sugary. Sugar, over time, with oxygen, will break down into acetaldehydes, and over time break down into more acids plus alcohols, more esters. Then you've got the Oloroso, which is very slightly acidic as well, because it's very dry. That's adding more acid in, plus the alcohols, more esters, with the oxygen helping that formation to happen. And then we're starting off by adding, some Jamaican rum in at the start. So already we're starting with a higher ester range than you typically get in a Solera. So really, if you try the PX and Oloroso cask before the Solera system, you really tell the difference. And it's like the Solera is really like a slow age esterification system, and the oxygen is helping accelerate that formation. And it just makes so much fruit in the glass, So it's for me, it's really cool. If you're into esters, we always talk about esters in the fermentation stage because that's where most of it's produced. Yeah. But it's really interesting to see how it develops through the casks. And we just had, we're not talking like DOK level esters, right? We're talking about something light and balanced and fruity. But the final blend for Finest Caribbean, the old blend is about 20, 30 esters. And by the time it comes out in the Solera casks through the sherry, it comes out around 65, 70. Like it over doubles. Yeah. So, and again, small base. We're not talking thousands of esters. But it's so interesting to see how the esters just go boop, just through that system.
Yeah, I can imagine. Sounds a little bit like you have plans for the future with more Solera system.
I don't know.
Or something older, or
well, it's hard to say. At the moment, we can make about 6,000 bottles a year with our current Solera setup. Yes. If we were to grow more than that and become bigger than that, then we'd need to add more tiers or more casks on, so expand it. I can't see us doing more Soleras because it's already so much work. I think the warehouse team hate us enough already. But it's such a fascinating project, and if you're coming to Scotland, you can come and you can see the Solera system. You can see it in real life, which to me that was always a funny thing. You'd hear about Solera systems, you're like, show me the Solera, and they're like, I just want to see it, Yeah. So you can see it, you can touch it, it's real, it's exciting, But yeah, I don't know whether we do more Soleras, but yeah, I think this one might be enough for now.
This one in Manhattan.
Yeah, it's this for me is like the perfect after dinner dessert rum, like a side of little espresso or some ice cream, little affogato, and this on the side, perfect. Pour it on your ice cream, amazing.
Best ice cream ever.
In Italy, they do this thing where you finish your espresso and you pour a little grappa into the cup and you swirl it round with that. You do it with this.
We all have this problem.
Stunning, really good, really good. But yeah, every bartender we've given this rum to, immediately, it wasn't ever designed to be a cocktail rum, but every bartender goes, oh, I really want to try it in a Manhattan, or I really want to try it in an old fashioned, and it's stunning. It's a bit more expensive, but it's a beautiful way. If you're making a drink at home, why not?
Yeah, but just a bit more expensive.
Just a bit more. Yeah, it's not quite, it's for us, it's quite exciting. It's the second thing we sell that's under €100. So but that's very impressive for black tie.
You're coming from there.
Started at 1,000. We're getting better at making more everyday rums as well, But yeah, I think for the price and again, price wise, it's not too dissimilar to some of the Solera rums that you get out there, and I think do the side by side, test it for yourself and see, and I think think I'd take that bet quite happily against
Yeah.
any other slower rum in the world right now.
Yeah.
So.
Tastes pretty good.
Yum.
Mm-hmm.
Just taking a moment. I'd love to answer some of your questions, but I don't know what you're saying. So, is there anything we need to respond to here?
Speaking
Okay, let's
about
go.
1st of May.
1st of May.
Yeah.
Oh, parties on
Yeah.
Thursday, yeah.
Yeah, and Martin says,
Throwing stones
Yeah.
into cars.
Oh, okay.
It's normal.
Yeah, okay, all right.
yeah, and we started bar after we finish here.
Yes, okay, very
was
nice.
So it was not really.
And you see Dirk always on the 1st of May.
Yeah, in the front, but only with empty bottles
And fire.
and fire. No. So one more.
Yeah, let's have some Master Blenders Reserve.
Ja, that's a good idea. Jetzt brauchen wir bitte noch mal 3 frische Gläser aus dem Rest. Thank you.
Hat jemand Caroni gesagt?
Nein, niemand hat Caroni gesagt.
So,
Super.
so yeah, we have our Master Blenders Reserve. This is the 5th annual edition that we've done now. We started this series in 2020 with the 50th anniversary bottling, and then every year since we've done. The name has been Master Blenders Reserve since 2021 onwards. So this year we changed the blend every year. We changed the style and the approach every year. This year we went heavier on the Barbados. So we did 60% Barbados, 25% Trinidad, 5% Jamaica, 5% Guyana, and 5% the Perpetual Reserve, which is the previous year's Master Blenders Reserve, aged in sherry casks for about 9 months. And then we also added 8 of these. So we had 8 flagons from 1954, which go into this. And we add some flagons every year into each year of Master Blenders Reserve as well. So, yeah, a little bit higher ABV, 54.5, as it always is for these editions. We have in there, you've got Foursquare, West Indies rum, you've got a 22-year-old Mount Gay pot still in there. We have some DDL, we have a 26-year-old Caroni in there. What else? The Jamaica we had, I believe this one was Long Pond, Clarendon, New Yarmouth. We've added a little booklet on the side now so you can see all of the casks at a glance. So yeah, New Yarmouth, Clarendon, Long Pond from 23 years up to 28 years on this one. Yeah, it's a crazy blend. What I love about Master Blenders is it's a blend that shouldn't exist, you know. No one would be crazy enough to blend these casks together normally. But every year we're like, let's see what it'll taste like.
Yeah.
So.
And everybody's asking why you were doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
that's
selling it as a single cask, you know.
same discussion like why Solera, why they changed the Master Blenders Reserve blend from the beginning and from the 50th release. So why is the next year not the same? And the next year not the same? Because I love the first one.
Right.
So,
Well,
but in the tradition,
yeah.
It was never a recipe. Was never the same over the years.
Exactly.
So that makes it different, and it's boring if you have over years it's the same liquid every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Well, it's also one of those things that we wouldn't have the liquid to be able to do the same thing again and again. So, you know, the 50th anniversary, we had a 23-year-old Caroni in there, some Foursquare, some DDL. We had a 42-year-old Port Morant, so the same rum we used for the Black Top 40-year-old. We had it in casks, and we used some of that liquid because we were letting it age. There's a funny story with that as well, actually. So by 2020, the 40-year-old should have been 45 years old. But when it got to 42 years old, we did 12 bottles for Bellier. And they released, you can still look up the picture online, and rather than saying Black Top 40-year-old, it says Black Top 1975. And that is the same cask, same rum, but 2 years later.
Yeah.
We left the rest in the cask, or so we thought. And by 2020, it was meant to be 45 years old. And when we went to the warehouse and we looked it up, it was just in a metal tank. We said, "Why is it in a metal tank?" And they said, "Oh, the cask looked really old, so we got rid of it. We didn't want to put it back in case it leaked or something." And we're like,
Safety first.
So that's why on the 50th anniversary bottling it says 42 years, not 45 years for that component, but it's the same rum. So we couldn't do the same blend every year. It would be impossible. And even if you got almost exactly the same casks, every cask is individual, every cask is different. So this is part of the fun and part of the challenge, is to change it every year and to mix it up. But what I love about it so much is, all of us, between us, I think if we put our rum collections together, we'd have some pretty good rum collections, Yep. And, I'm sure most people watching, you've probably bought the bottles of Caroni, and you've bought all the Foursquares, and you've bought the Velliers, and you've got all of these single casks from around the world, and then you've got multiple variations of those single casks and sister casks and all of these things. And I bet none of us has ever gone, let's just take all of these and blend them together and do something different with it, We can all talk about, the years we love, the 2006 Beanleys, the 97 Coronis, whatever it is, and we've all had those single casks, but no one's ever tried mixing them together and putting them together in this way. And
Normally not.
And this, for me, is what makes Master Blenders Reserve so geeky and so niche, because if you know what those individual rums are, if you've had a 22-year-old Mount Gay pot still, you go, that's phenomenal. Cool, now you get to try it in a blend as well. It's you have to have someone crazy enough to do this, and luckily we have those people. So.
Yeah, safe.
I can't tell what Martin's comment is.
Okay, well, nothing to do with our scene, so I'm
Okay.
checking something. Yeah.
Get on.
That's nice.
This one's definitely the fruitiest, juiciest master blenders we've done in the series. Again, usually it has a much higher Guyanese component. We've dropped it down. Again, similar idea. We've dropped down the Guyana and let the fruit really come forward with the Barbados and the Trinidad. But you mentioned the 50th anniversary being your favourite. So I think you're going to like the 2025
Okay.
when it comes out. So,
Okay.
so Sekinder's brief to Ollie this year was, when we released 50th anniversary, very few people knew about Black Tot. It was really the people who knew us from Last Consignment or were just starting to get to know the brand. And it was the 50th anniversary, so the bottle sold quickly, but a lot of the fans we have now weren't there 5 years ago, But a lot of the people who tried it love the 50th anniversary and say it's their favourite. And so Sekinder's brief this year to Ollie was that he wanted the 50th anniversary, but on steroids.
Okay.
So, and one of the requests I made was, over the last 3 years we've used a lot more variety of casks, like up to 20 casks. The first 2 years we did it, we just had 9 different types of casks. And it meant, one, we could fit all of the casks on the back label rather than having to have a QR code and go to the website to get the full or the booklet. So Ollie's gone back to sort of the original idea with 50th. similar kind of blend makeup. We've got a 27-year-old Caroni in there. We've got some Foursquare. We've got some. We've got a heavier Jamaican rum percentage this year going in. But he also found a sherry butt of 50th anniversary that he's been aging for the past 5 years, and he's blended that into the blend as well. So if you're a fan of the 50th anniversary, you're going to really like this year, I think.
When kids playing.
That's it.
Lovely.
I hope everyone's drinking some delicious rum at home, whether it's some black tot or something else as well. Maybe one of the components we haven't been able to blend yet.
Aber hinten raus, dann kommt er.
Yeah, Caroni. You find the Caroni, definitely.
Yeah.
At the end.
Yeah.
But even there's a lot of different things to find out. The fruit, yes.
Ja, schon. It's super fruity.
It's super fruity, definitely. Yeah.
For me, I've always loved those Caronis where it's not just the diesel heaviness, it's the bright, fruity Caronis, which a lot of people forget, I think, because we've become so obsessed with the diesel ones. But I love those fruitier ones.
Yeah.
And this, I think, really, really captures that as well.
Yeah. So Alex is asking, what is coming in the infinity bottle? So you're seeing this bottle with a glass ship.
Oh yes, okay.
So it's our infinity bottle.
Oh, amazing.
It means we collect around over 1 year.
Yes.
Every show some drops of good rums. So we're doing a wild blend. And at the end, we give it to an auction, and the income is spending for a child charity project.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
So that means you have to fill some drops
yes.
from this one.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, please. I'd be
For the
delighted
blend.
to.
Magst du mir das mal kurz rüberreichen?
Das ist gerade runtergefallen.
Ja, gerade runtergefallen. So the last auction was 3-4 weeks ago, and we get 1,300 euros for it.
Oh, wow.
And it's we spent for a child project.
Really cool. Oh, okay.
2 CL, something like that. Thank you.
Oh,
That's generous.
there we go, of course. And I think we should have, we only have a tiny little bit, but I think we should add a little drop of last consignment in there as well. So
Just for the deepness.
Exactly.
We're almost out. There we go. A little bit of last
Thank you
consignment in there
so
as well.
much.
For the children.
For the children. Dann darf ich dir das zurückgeben.
Ja, Entschuldigung, ist gerade abhanden.
Yeah.
Bin hier irgendwo auch noch ein Kind.
And it's really funny. So was the third one we have it last month, and it's amazing what has happened with all the amazing rums we put in it.
Yes.
Half CL, 2 CL, whatever. At the end, it's amazing.
Yeah. Oh man.
It's really amazing.
And I love you've got a ship in there as well.
Yeah.
Ties in very nicely with our toasts.
Yeah.
Coming from a ship.
Absolutely.
Okay, so yeah, we are at the end. 1 hour is running if you're having rum.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it goes fast. Huh?
So yeah, thank you for coming.
No, thank you. And
rum.
we do have a little toast we should probably finish with.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you're at home and you've got your glasses, you can raise it with us. But so the story behind this toast was it was a 400-year-old toast, and it was taught to me by the guy who taught me about rum. So I used to work at a bar called Trailer Happiness in London, and we always used to do this toast together. And I always liked it because there were lots of toasts that we did, but this was the only one that you would ever say in front of your mother, you know? So, there are tall ships.
There are tall ships.
And there are small ships.
And there are small ships.
And there are ships that sail the sea.
And there are ships that sail the sea.
But the best ships
but the best ships
But the best chips
Our friendships.
are friendships.
are friendships.
So here's to you and me.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys. Cheers,
Cheers.
everyone.
Cheers.
So, und wer in Berlin ist und wer Lust hat, wir gehen gleich nach nebenan ins Rumdepot an die Bar. Und Mitch wird noch ein paar Drinks machen, also wer hier ist, einfach noch schnell vorbeikommen. So, just announcing, we're going to the bar and
Yes.
who's around,
Yeah.
coming over to have some drinks with us. And
Absolutely, yeah. If you're in Berlin, come and get down here. I'll make
And
you some
dirty rum
daiquiris.
talk.
ja. Alex, nein, das war der für Blend 2024 mit 54,5%. So Alex is a guy, he's writing every sip we're giving to this bottle. So.
Okay. Yeah, so Master Blenders 54.5,
Yeah.
2024 edition, not 25.
Yes. Yeah.
And then a bit of Last Consignment, which is 54.3. So
And the release of the 2025 should
2025,
be happen before the Black Tot Day.
exactly. We'll
Yes.
release it on the 1st of July.
Okay.
So
Okay.
the first couple of years we were always releasing it on Black Tot Day, and then now we've got a little bit of a following and people who are buying the bottles every year.
Yeah.
We found everyone wanted to have the new bottle on that Black Tot Day, which makes sense. So we're now
Absolutely.
releasing on the 1st of July, and you've got 30 days to get your bottle so you can raise a toast on Black Tot Day.
Okay.
So yeah, 1st of July, Rum Depot, come get your bottles.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so we say thank you, danke, dass ihr wieder dabei wart und bis
Schönes Abend.
nächsten Montag. Ist kein Feiertag, oder?
Ich glaube nicht.
Ja, okay. So we see us next Monday.
Aber ich glaube, nächste Woche ist wieder irgendwann ein Feiertag.
Ja.
In Berlin nimmt es ja gerade ein bisschen
Überhand.
Schwung auf.
Ja. So, guys, see you
Thanks,
next week.
everyone.
Bye bye.
Cheers.